Yeah, hi, if I sound, like, nasally or anything during any of the recordings in this video, I think I caught a cold before I ended up recording, so, sorry about that, I guess. Anyway, on with the video. Christmas. An amazing time of year focused on togetherness, spending time with your loved ones, religious stuff, and begging your parents to buy you the latest trendy toy on the market, which, speaking of... Tattletail, a game released around December 28th, 2016, created by Waygetter Electronics. Just kidding, it's actually by these two guys. Inspired by the very real fear of furbies back in the late 90s and early 2000s, with actual security concerns being raised of furbies listening in on people's conversations, leading to them being banned from entering national security property. Until it was proven by the creator of Furbies himself to be nothing more than fear-mongering. Boy, do I love stupid rumours! Though surprisingly, I don't see many people talking about Furbies these days, and it really sucks because 9 years ago this game was the gas. It was baller. It was, dare I say, the shit. However, the game's now been reduced to just a small reference in one of the creator's later games, alongside a limited edition U2's Plus released on March 28th of 2025. But that's really it, so to celebrate the semi-recent release of Tattletail Plus, at least at the time of writing this, on PS4 Dreams, we're talking about Tattletail. Obviously. Starting off with and circling back to Waygetter Electronics, they're the company who made the in-universe line of baby-talking Tattletail toys, alongside the recalled and banned Mama Tattletails. It's just a fun little in-universe thing, nothing to write home about besides the promotional website they made. Hey, the 90s called, they want their websites back. But seriously though, the repeating PNG background, the small, very amateurish feeling UI, and the grainy, low-res look of the images used in it make this feel very authentic, and it's always a treat to see for games like this. As for the game's trailer, it starts off as if it were a real commercial for the baby talking Tattletail line of toys, with a few lines of text on screen, the occasional dead body here and there, and what I like to call exposition. But after that, it's pretty much a typical indie horror game trailer. I will admit I do like the minimalist take it has after the commercial segments, only showing about 4 or 5 segments of gameplay, but god damn, does the trailer make this game's graphics look a lot better than the actual game. Shifting away from the trailer though, and moving on to the game itself, and first impressions are tight. After a small screen where we adjust our lighting settings, we get a small VHS style loading screen as we're brought to the main titles. The bright, cheery and colourful logo in the top left corner directly contrasting our first look at the main antagonist, and oh my, is she f***ed up. I'm a big fan of the old VHS filter they use over the top of the menu. It's kind of a stereotype these days, what with the rise of analog horror and the likes in recent years, but with the game being made all the way back in 2016, before that VHS found footage-esque indie horror, it's very unique and appealing. Shifting away from the title screen though, we eventually click New Game, entering Night 1, a night to remember. Wow, this game is, it's dark, I'll tell you that. Luckily though, I did end up making my game a little bit brighter than it should be, as I didn't really feel like dealing with the void. Back on track though, we load into a very 90s feeling kid's bedroom decked out with a deal with it poster, a rad looking photo of a lion, and many photos of seemingly our family. The task icon in the top left corner of the screen telling us to open our Christmas present early. The house itself, more specifically the upstairs, is admittedly a pretty small place, but one that feels very lived in thanks to the careful placement of props alongside a very small detail that I think goes a very long way. Being the fact that different lights are on and different doors are open or shut on every night. As I say, it's a very minute, easy to miss detail. I got this point from someone else's video essay, but it's still very nice to see. As for the basement, I will admit the layout is a little weird and unrealistic, but it also feels positively surreal. And feeling like a space you could very easily get lost or cornered in, the darkness and strangely large layout giving a sense that anything could be hiding in the shadows around the corner you're about to turn. Despite the slightly unrealistic layout though, there are small details here and there that do give a bit of personality and immersion to the space, for example this treadmill and weights, which I think is especially interesting to the point where I actually took note of it on the first night. It's not much, but I do like it a lot. We're also introduced to the noise mechanic this game has, being able to be tracked by this yellow loudspeaker icon in the top right corner of the screen, with damn near everything causing it, such as running and this little bit. I mean the baby talking Tattletail our parents got us, the hottest toy on the block as of 1998. And the moment we pick up the guy, the bastard bastard's already yapping. Okay. Yeah, this little guy loves to yap on and on regardless of the situation you're in. Especially if one of his meters run out, in which he will start screaming and demanding it out of you, making a lot of noise, just like a real baby, which is annoying as shit.
Me, Tattletail. Me love you.
Please shut up. I was in the middle of a sentence.
Playtime for tea. Big man.
Oh my god! He's also a very big inconvenience and contributor to your stress, which we'll talk about later. The first night is essentially a tutorial, showing us 2 out of the 3 of Tattletail's needs, being his hunger and grooming. Not that kind of grooming! Get your head out of the gutter! Those 2 meters only being able to be filled up with the fridge in the kitchen for the hunger meter, and the slightly levitating brush in the living room for his grooming meter. And with that, we're told to wrap Tattletail back up for the night and go back to bed. But once we make it back to the Tattletail gift box, we found he's left a little present for us, being one of the gift eggs. Little things you can find scattered around the playable area each night. On the surface seeming like fun little collectibles you can find each night, with 22 to collect, but do actually come into play at the end of the game, whether or not you found them all. It is a bit annoying how on the night select screen you get at the end of the game, it doesn't tell you how many eggs you've collected on each night, which does make collecting them all a little annoying, but hey, that's what the internet's for. I also want to take a minute to talk about the game's sound design. God damn does it do good sound design. For the most part, it's just generic thumps, humming, and stings you'd expect out of non-diegetic noises in a horror game, but it does wonders at building a foreboding, dreadful atmosphere that did actually make me jump at certain points. There's this one sound that ended up playing near the end of night 1 that I think is really good and created a fair bit of tension as I was heading upstairs, even making me panic a little when I got a little bit lost briefly, despite the fact I knew there were no active threats. But once we make it all the way up the stairs, we find the front door is ever so slightly ajar and the landline phone in the kitchen starts ringing, with the game directly telling us to not answer the phone. Now, you know me. I'm a bit of a rebel, a little bit of a rule breaker, a tiny bit of a... anarchist! So I answered the phone and... Huh, wonder why his throat was so scratchy. Upon waking up, we're told to investigate the clunking noise, in which we walk down into the basement to see the washing machine on, for some reason, with an egg next to it. An indicator that a certain someone is in there, and upon opening it up, we see that Tattletail was the one inside, this in particular making us think. How did this thing get out of its box and get to the washing machine in the first place? It's certainly concerning. After that, we're introduced to Tattletail's charging station, basically an explanation for his 3rd meter, being his battery, which noticeably drains a little bit slower than his hunger and grooming at the cost of it taking longer to refill.
Why don't you just, I don't know, let the guy's battery drain to 0. That way you don't have to keep dealing with "Furbish me" and "feed me a treat" and all that stuff.
Oh, why didn't I think of that? Oh wait, that's why I didn't think of that. It doesn't fucking do anything! After we've charged Tattletail though, we're told to have some fun and find a vase in the basement to play with, sure I guess. We do so, taking note of a flashlight on a shelf near the vase, and once we break it, the lights suddenly dim as we're told to grab a flashlight, and once we do that, the task simply changes to say, oh no. Your flashlight isn't your typical beam of light, it's actually a shake flashlight which you have to shake, obviously, creating noise to be able to see. Therefore, you'll have to use it strategically and minimally to not be heard, especially if... Okay then, especially if she's on the hunt. We'll talk about who she is on the next night. I do think the way the flashlight is handled is very unique and fitting for this game's particular gameplay loop when you're on the run. It actually making noise when you try to turn it on, which you obviously want to avoid, and it's even more of a stressor if you've got Tattletail with you, as if you do, the game will tell you when there's not enough light, and Tattletail will eventually start screaming again, as he's afraid of the dark, giving you an extra thing to balance alongside the little guy's needs. Speaking of, as we're wrapping Tattletail back up, he eventually says a very particular line, telling us that Mama is scary. I also think it's worth noting the pounding at the door we hear as we're walking over to our bedroom. We're unable to interact with the door and see who's knocking so aggressively, but it definitely adds to the foreboding atmosphere of this night in particular, the game hinting that we'll be thrown into the proper danger zone tomorrow. Upon waking up and grabbing our flashlight, we're told to investigate the grinding noise, a very familiar grinding noise in fact, that was foreshadowed during the phone call we got on December 20th. Eventually we head down into the basement, finding a trail of gift eggs leading us straight to... ah, crap. Now, this is Mama Tattletail, the main antagonist of the game and canonically being the predecessor to the baby talking Tattletails. It acts as a Teddy Ruxpin type toy, able to play cassette tapes to be able to read stories to children, which we do inserting a cassette inside of Mama as her head spins around, telling a story presumably meant to accompany a kid's book.
The children thought that Mama would never find them as long as she couldn't see them. Turn the page. But Mama could still hear the children. The pitter-patter of their little feet led Mama right to them. Turn the page. Then Mama found the children, every last one, and put them right back to bed.
This scene in particular, with the peaceful music and soft voice contrasting Mama's words being a diegetic explanation to our protagonist on how Mama works, is very well done, I'll say, and it definitely creates a good sense of tension throughout. After our story finishes, however, we're told to find Tattletail upstairs, who seems to have made a pretty big mess in the living room, and once we pick him up, our task is to show Tattletail and that Mama. But you know how these things go, when we make it back to the basement, she's gone, of course she is, which Tattletail actually comments on, by the way, leaving a gift egg with, ketchup inside it in Mama's place. After that, our task is to wrap Tattletail back up, and upon doing that, we need to clean up the mess he made in the living room upstairs. However, as we're walking up to the basement stairs to go and do this, all the lights go out as we're properly introduced to Mama and how she attacks. The way Mama works is, she only attacks if you're making noise or if you get too close to her, so the best way to try and keep her from attacking you is staying as quiet as possible. This obviously hindered by the fact that almost everything you can use in the game makes noise. Your flashlight, this f***er! She also makes your flashlight go out if you aim it directly at her, playing into that fear of the unknown we all know and love, only getting to see a small glimpse of Mama, only her glowing red eyes on show. And rightfully so too, cause honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of Mama's design. It's just your stereotypical mascot horror villain, withering everywhere, sharp teeth, red eyes. It's very reminiscent of the Nightmare animatronics from FNAF 4, which is kind of fitting thematically since both games take place in a house. I mean, you could argue the generic design is somewhat intentional considering she's meant to be covered by darkness most of the time, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. It was mostly the atmosphere and tension that kept me scared whenever Mama was on the hunt. Anyway, you wanna know how I won my first encounter with Mama? Staying completely goddamn still. Yeah, apparently she goes away after a while, and because her main mechanic revolves around you making noise, there was nothing stopping you from just standing there quietly until she pissed off. And before you ask, no, I didn't think about this when I was playing the game, I was just too much of a damn pussy to move. Oh yeah, you can also knock on your mum's door at any point in the game, and if you do it when Mama's after you, the door will open to reveal Mama inside before she jump scares you, giving you an achievement called What Did You Expect, which in all honesty, that's fair. As for this night, we're told to investigate the chattering noise coming from outside, sounding an awful lot like our friend Tattletail. We go out into the garage and— there's 2 of them?! Yeah, there's 2 of them now. Apparently. We're told to grab our original Tattletail, as we then have to play a game with the new yellow Tattletail, specifically hide and seek. And once we touch the yellow Tattletail, the game begins. Now, this is where Tattletail's main gameplay loop really shines in my eyes. We have to survive 30 seconds on the first round of hide and seek, then 1 minute and finally 1 minute and 30 seconds. Of course, since you have Tattletail with you, you can't just stay still the whole time, because eventually the little guy's gonna start screaming in your ears for whatever needs you have unfulfilled, and you will f***ing die. Now, since I don't play a lot of free roam horror games, or really any horror games other than FNAF fan games, this was horrifying, I hated it. Oh, also the f***ass yellow Tattletail, tattles on you to Mama during the third hide and seek. Sick piss-collared bastard!
Hi, Mama. In the bedroom. Okay. Bye-bye.
Granted, it does feel like a very shoehorned in way of getting the player used to this type of resource management, but it still works very well in my eyes and can get absolutely horrifying if you're in a bad spot. Case in point.
Come to Mama.
Ah! Ah!
Mama's coming.
Give me a treat.
Yeah, my heart was pounding during that whole ordeal. It just goes to show how good this game's atmosphere is. Oh, also in each of the yellow Tattletail's hiding spots he leaves a gift egg, which is neat. Anyway, after that hell, we find the yellow Tattletail down in the basement where Mama was sitting on the previous night with a VHS tape, which we're then instructed to take back upstairs to our bedroom and play on our TV. We then go do that, and it appears to show a commercial advertisement for the Tattletail line of toys, but structured like a camera system for some reason. We can flick through all of the camera shots, all of them with the lights off. There's also this camera labelled storage, which just kind of exists. Once we click the play button, however, it plays out like the Tattletail ad at the beginning of the trailer for the game. However, some of the cameras end up turning red, and if we end up clicking on them in the right order, dead bodies start to appear throughout the advertisements. Of course they do. I never found this to be particularly unsettling, considering this is like the most generic trope in horror ever, but whatever, it doesn't like ruin the game or anything. Oh, also keep this tape in mind for later. There are some secrets you can unlock with stuff you get at the end of the main game. And speaking of the end, I think it's about time we move on to Night 5. The party.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Christmas Eve begins with Tattletail screaming at us to wake up, and once we pick him up he tells us that all of the Tattletails are throwing a party for Mama, and we gotta help him. We first gotta bring the little guy down to the basement, where we find both the pissed Tattletail from the last night and a new Pippi's Tattletail, as we then have to place our Tattletail on its charging port before the game tells us we gotta find some friends, both by the Christmas tree and inside of the garage respectively. But with both of them with one of their bars being completely depleted once we unwrap them from their boxes, while also screaming their ears off for like the first 10 seconds of existence, just like a real baby! It definitely adds to the intensity of it. Sadly, Mama does eventually go away if you wait long enough with either of the Tattletails when collecting them. I think it'd be better if she disappeared once you've got both of them on their spot, so there's this constant feeling of stress. Especially considering this is the final level and climax of the game. After that though, we have to go on a supply run with our original Tattletail. First collecting cupcakes, which took me an embarrassingly long time to find. Then festive lights and finally candles. Once again with Mama hunting you the whole time. All of this being one big build up for okay. Whose side are you on?
Playtime for the big one.
I definitely preferred the supply run over the RSVP if I'm gonna be honest, as the way it plays into the gameplay loop the game is centered around makes it way more fun and scary. Anyway, back to the satanic ritual set up by knockoff furbies. We place the candles inside of the cupcakes before letting Tattletail join the seance, lighting each one individually before rewinding our VHS tape from the previous night. Somehow. Saving the game beforehand, thank God. The tape audio starts playing as all of a sudden the lights flicker and go out as the game tells us that Mama stole the candles. How? We need to find them to finish the ritual, with all of the candles being hidden inside vases that spawn in around the basement, it being a complete gamble on whether or not a candle will be inside it. Of course, smashing the vases making noise. This whole sequence kind of reflects the first time we encounter Mama after smashing a vase for fun on night 2, which is cool. Oh, and Mama doesn't ever piss off during this entire sequence. She's there until you collect every last candle and put them down. Yes! And considering Tattletail isn't with you, instead chanting his little thing with his buddies, you wanna know how I beat this? By being an absolute coward. Again, since there was literally no restraint on the light or any needs to speak of, I straight up refused to shine my light or run or jump or make any form of noise while walking around unless absolutely necessary. Basically feeling my way around the goddamn map and waiting until Mama's grinding was barely audible and she wasn't in my line of sight before smashing any vases. Making the sequence take way longer than it should have while also making it way scarier because of the darkness. Despite the fact that that final stretch of the game pretty much relies on blind luck rather than the resource management loop Tattletail prides itself on, it's admittedly a fairly scary little section, although it could have been handled a bit better, playing more into that gameplay loop. Though once you've collected all of your candles, you're told to place them down and light them all individually again, as the tape audio starts to play in reverse, and...
Mama's looking after you.
ritual seemingly worked, with all of the Tattletails being returned to their gift boxes. On the way upstairs though, we do have the option to pick up the phone one last time if we didn't answer it on night 1. And if we do...
This is to wish you and your family the best this holiday season, and a happy new year. Information, call 1-800-21... Happy holidays.
There's a little company PSA Christmas wish thingy from presumably Waygetter Electronics, wishing families across the nation a Merry Christmas. A bit of cruel irony considering the sheer amount of trauma this kid's gone through. Like, my god! That's probably years of counselling, Jesus Christ! But that doesn't matter right now, as we simply go to bed, hoping everything will be okay now. Christmas Day. After everything, you're alive. Mama is gone forever, and you can enjoy Christmas with your family. But it feels oddly melancholy. There's no ambience besides the chirping of birds outside, and you're completely alone. Your mum's still in bed, while your dad's implied to be out of the picture, with only one photo of him in the entire game. Eventually, though, you go over to your Christmas present and open it. Yeah, I guess in the canon ending you just f***ing die. What a lame ending, right? That really sucks. Can't get in Tattletail, am I right? Me when I just straight up lie! Yeah, no. That's just a bad ending of the game that you only get if you didn't collect all the gift eggs scattered throughout all the nights. After using the internet to find all the gift egg locations because I'm lazy as hell, we returned to Christmas Day and...
Presents for you.
we get our baby talking Tattletail, as we should, alongside Tattletail's tag that he was given at birth. It has 3 codes on it that you're able to input in the VHS tape on December 23rd. Remember when I said that would come in handy later? The first code is our Tattletail's production code, 9918530. It shows us a room with a blue screen labelled Waygetter, alongside 3 more screens in the bottom left with the words abort on them. Levers visible in front with a Mama Tattletail with assumedly rolled back eyes in the bottom right. The next code is Tattletail's birthday, 22598, and once inputting it, we're treated to a door labelled 04 prototyping. And our final code is the longest one yet, being the address Waygetter is situated at, being 41758600420. It shows us a room full of Mama Tattletails, a light focused on one in the center which is looking around. It's honestly very unsettling, and it's probably the more obviously telling in my eyes. I think it implies the Mama turning around and stuff is special or possessed or whatever, and is presumably the one we end up running into in the game. Moving on from the tag codes though, and going back to Christmas Day, we also get our hands on a golden flashlight, an upgraded version of our normal blue flashlight which lasts way longer than the normal flashlight, and only requires about 3 or 4 shakes to charge up rather than 5. Which would have been really nice to have in the main game rather than after you've gotten basically everything. After that though, we're tasked with going to wake up our mum, ending off the game on a high note with Tattletail thanking us and hearing our mum yawn. Oh yeah, there's also an ending where you find a way to get out of bounds and jump off the map. A free DLC pack was also released for the game on May 9th of 2017 called the Kaleidoscope Campaign. And if I'm gonna be honest, this DLC pack is essentially just this. It starts off on Christmas Day like the ending of the main campaign, but with a different beat to the main game, which is neat. Just listen. You go to open your present, only to find Tattletail is boring as all hell. Me.
Please wake up.
I'm awake. It's basically got something to do with someone messing around with your memories of Mum and Tattletail and, like, going back through your memories to see what's changed. Mum is now actually a good mother, rather than— OH MY GOD! It's explained to us that memories are a lot like VHS tapes. The more you replay them, the more distorted they become, and with the right trigger, someone can write over other people's memories. The whole memory exploring bit is probably one of the best bits in the whole DLC. It all feels so off, and it's brilliantly done. There's also this really good sequence on December 22nd where Mama's chase music starts playing after we turn her off in the basement, which admittedly got me very good and got me back in the habit of using my flashlight to an absolute minimum and not running anywhere. Only for that tension to be complete and utter bullshit. Yeah, you better get used to that. There's also this scene on the exact same night of Tattletail telling us a joke about bananas that's absolutely definitely certain without a doubt not foreshadowing.
Bananas are a good source of potassium. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, can you shut up? These mysterious notes either from a Waygetter employee, our missing father, our future self, or anonymous entity 42069 guide us towards a place called the Kaleidoscope. A place where all memories are stored. Good, bad, real, and imagined, filled with defective Tattletails that are missing their way drives, jacked up geometry, a lone Mama Tattletail in the kitchen, and more. Conceptually, the Kaleidoscope is very cool, and it's aesthetically extremely pretty. The fragmented air, a lack of a vision— is that even a word? A vision to the laws of physics, ambient sounds, and funky shade they use give off this overwhelmingly tense feeling of you're not supposed to be here. However, it does get stale pretty fast and just doesn't really fit the general vibe of Tattletail as a game, you know? There's also what are called memory triggers, taking the form of a photocopy of the Waygetter logo's eye, a photo of the Waygetter headquarters, a pattern for the Way drive, and an old note reading, "Why was Mama banned? Why was Mama banned? Was Mama banned? Was Mama banned?" It being made all too clear to us that Waygetter is the reason for our memories being corrupted. Moving on from that completely irrelevant information that requires no further elaboration beyond this, we also come across this cassette tape we can insert into the Mama Tattletail in the kitchen that explains that the Way drive is what gives their toys their lifelike qualities, how they work being a family secret. Yeah, I wouldn't really call satanic magic a secret when your toys are making pentagrams in basements, don't lie to me. Eventually we make our way to a VHS tape at the very bottom of the Kaleidoscope, which is the cause of all our memories being messed up. We somehow watch it without a TV nearby as we see an altered version of the original Tattletail ad, for the educational baby talking Tattletail, apparently being all about safety and learning. And gaslighting, they missed out that part. The tunnel you have to go down to reach the VHS tape is very well done, I think. With the ambience spiking up and the educational Tattletail suddenly telling you that you're not alone as you go down those stairs, it really helps with the tension. Also, the feel of the VHS is very off-putting and generally feels very rushed and cheaply made. In terms of, like, how Waygetter made it, so like in a good way. But after watching the ad, we're brought all the way back to December 20th, 1998, with the intro beat actually being normal this time. Yay!
So everything's normal, right?
Wrong! This is pretty much the only obvious instance of environmental clues I could find in this section, but you can see a bunch of cereal boxes piled up in the corner of the kitchen, which, if you ask me, isn't exactly normal. We go downstairs and unwrap Tattletail, do all the night one shenanigans, yada yada yada. That is until...
Ah! B. Knock knock. Orange.
Aren't you forgetting someone?
Okay, this is just not good. The final part of the DLC is escaping Mama, who apparently is in the Kaleidoscope with us now. Probably like a fake duplicate paranormal Mama thing, being a manifestation of our memories of her terrorizing us in the main game or something. Tensions are high as you're making your way towards the exit, but god damn is it way too short and incredibly anticlimactic. Also, a Kaleidoscope jump scare is just, wow, oh my god. They spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, round, round. And then we go back to Christmas Day and everything's okay now, Mama's gone forever, the end. Do you see what I mean by this now? With the amount of concepts introduced in this DLC pack, such as the Way drives, the Kaleidoscope dimension, and the Waygetter company themselves being evil, it feels abundantly clear to me that they were testing the waters of a potential Tattletail sequel, depending on how things go with the DLC pack. As people very clearly liked the game and wanted more, and that would have been really neat. Keyword would've. Well, in terms of official content, there was a Tattletail plush released by YouTubers a while ago. Yeah, that's it. The devs really did just leave Tattletail as a one-and-done project and never did anything else with it. Which, in all honesty, I respect it. Leaving your one-and-done quick project is just that, and not risking losing what made the original title special. Well, besides the Kaleidoscope DLC, but that doesn't count. There was also a Tattletail plushie that was planned to happen with Fat Mojo a few years back, but it never went anywhere and only one singular prototype of it exists. The company eventually gave it away though, it landing in the hands of this guy. But besides that, there really isn't a lot in terms of modern official Tattletail content unless this art by one of the artists for the game counts. Moving away from official content though, I also want to bring up Tattletail Plus, a fan-made remake for the game on PS4 Dreams of all places. Now, on account of not owning or wanting to own a PS4, I can't play this game, but it does look very polished and also includes some new content too. The models aren't exactly the best in my eyes, most notably with the tiny faced Tattletails, but I'd recommend at least giving it a shot if you have PS4 and you've got Dreams on it. If I had to describe Tattletail in one sentence, I would call it a forgotten cornerstone of indie mascot horror. Although it has its quirks and the DLC pack leaves a little bit to be desired, in terms of actual content, it's definitely a fun little play if you're looking for a quick spook. The collectible gift eggs, secret VHS codes, and other things to discover, adding a lot in terms of replay value. And with all that said, I think that's about all there is to talk about in terms of this game. I hope you—
More!
What do you mean more? I literally can't think of anything else to say.
More!
You know what? Fuck you! Get the hell out of my bedroom! Ah, finally. Peace and quiet.
Mama's looking after you.